Hey folks, Sheila here from Design Files. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can master the perspective of your design boards. All it's going to take are a few simple tools and one really handy tip. And with those, you'll be able to transform design boards like this, where the perspective is completely off, into designs like this, giving you a far more realistic and professional presentation that's going to wow your clients. So let's jump right in and get started, and we're going to fix this design board right here, one product at a time, starting with the rug. So I'm going to pull the sofa and the pillows out of the way. And this rug is shot square on, so it's completely ruining the perspective of this space. What we need to do is get it to look like it's lying flat on the floor. And that's really quick and easy with the DesignFiles Distort tool. So I'm going to click on that, and then it's going to allow me to pull on the individual corners of this rug so that I can angle it and make it look like it's lying flat on the floor. Now, what you always want to keep in mind anytime you're angling rugs within a space, you always want to try to work with the angle of your floorboards. Use that as your guide, and that's going to give you a realistic placement for where this rug should sit on the floor. And that's already looking so much better. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. And the next thing we're going to do is start working on the items that are on the side walls of the design. So this art piece and these curtain panels, they're shot square on and it's thrown off the perspective. So here's my number one tip for mastering items on the side walls when it comes to perspective. What you want to do is pop over to Google Images and you're going to search for a perspective grid. You're going to find dozens that you can choose from, and when you find one, you can save it and you can upload it to your library in your Design Files account, which will mean you can then drag this out onto your design board and you can scale it up so that it goes beyond the edges of your wall here. And then we're just going to line it up so that it matches the angle of the walls within the space here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good here. I'm just making sure that the perspective line is going along the edge of where the wall and the ceiling meet. That looks pretty good to me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to push this perspective grid back to the bottom layer. So I'm going to hit this button right here to go all the way to the bottom layer, and I'm going to bring it forward one layer so that it's sitting in front of the empty room image but behind all the products that I want to adjust. And I'm also going to lock that in place so that it doesn't move on me. So now let's start tackling these curtain panels. And I'm just going to need one to work with. So what I want to do here is I'm going to line up this curtain panel with one of these perspective lines right here. Back to the Distort tool, and now I'm going to pull on the individual corners here, and I'm going to pull this corner up so that it's going along the same perspective line right here. Down here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull that corner down, and I want it to match and go along the same perspective line along the floor. And that's going to give me a more realistic take on how this panel should sit on the wall. Now, key thing to note here, you don't want to mess around with the vertical lines. So if you pull this out, you're going to see that it's ruining the perspective. Your vertical lines should always remain the same, nice, clean, straight vertical lines, and all you're doing is adjusting the horizontal lines on this curtain panel here. So that looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and just apply that. And then I'm going to duplicate this curtain panel, slide it over, scale it down because all items in the background are going to be smaller than the items in the foreground. And then I'm going to place it wherever I want. Well, not wherever I want. I'm going to place it so that it matches that same perspective grid line right here. So now we know that everything's lined up nicely at the top, and I'm just going to use the Distort tool again, and I'm going to scale this down and make sure that it's running along those same perspective lines along the floorboards. And that's it. So now we've got two nice curtain panels on that window over here, and what we need is a curtain rod to join them. Now you don't need the full curtain rod, you just need a portion of it. So I'm going to take this image right here, I'm going to use the crop tool, crop down to just the section of this product image that I need, save that, I'm going to scale this down, slide it over here, I'm going to shift my design board into the center of my workable space, and I'm just going to zoom right in so I can get nice and close to the product edges. I'm going to line up the curtain rod, and then I'm again back to the Distort tool, and I'm just going to pull it down, and I'm still going to use that perspective grid line right there as my guide. So that's going to ensure that everything is working along the same correct angles that I need for this particular space. And I'm just going to thin out that curtain rod right there and apply it. We'll zoom back out, and that's looking pretty good. Now you can see that the curtain rod is sitting in front of the curtain panels. So to fix that, we're just going to select it, click here to push this curtain rod back to the bottom layer of the design, and we're going to bring it forward a couple of layers. There we have it. Okay, let's pop over to this art piece right here. We're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to hit the distort tool, pick a perspective line that I want to follow along on, and we're going to place this art piece on this wall. Again, my verticals are nice and clean and straight. The only thing that I am adjusting here are the horizontal lines, and I'm just picking a perspective grid line to match up with so that I can get the angle correct. Once you have that perspective grid added to your design, it makes it so quick and easy for you to master all of the angles on the products that are sitting on the side walls of your designs. So there we have it. Next, let's bring in this sofa. And it looks like I've got to push this curtain panel back, so I'm just going to go back to the bottom here and bring it forward a few layers. There we go. Okay, a couple key things to note anytime you're adding furniture to the side walls. Let's say that I brought in this image of the sofa instead. If you brought in an image of a sofa that's shot square on, it doesn't matter how many different ways you distort this product, it's never going to look accurate. The reason it won't look accurate is because you can't see the side panel of the sofa, and you need to see that in order to create a more realistic perspective for this item. So just keep that in mind. Never grab items that are shot square on, always grab something that's shot on an angle, and with that you'll be able to distort this product. So again, back to the distort tool, and what I want to do here is I'm just going to pull on these points until I get this item placed exactly where I want within the design. And I'm going to use my grid lines on my perspective grid to help me get that angle accurate. Okay, so we're starting to get this lined up nicely, and what I want to do now is I'm going to apply this. I'm going to duplicate it, flip it, send it over here, and then I'm also going to use the grid lines within my design board so you can see it's starting to show exactly where these products are lining up, so I know these two are sitting on the same plane. And then I'm just going to bring this forward just a little bit. And then I'm going to bring forward my side table here so that it's in the foreground. I'm going to bring forward the lamp so it's in the foreground, and I'm just going to slide in my pillows. And there you have it. Like with a few simple tweaks, I'm going to duplicate this pillow, flip it, slide it over, and already we have a far more realistic presentation that we can share with the client. Now, if you like the way your design board has turned out and you feel like you're ready to save this particular design, you can double click on your grid, unlock it, and delete it, and there you have it. We've got a far more realistic presentation that's going to wow your client, and just to give you an idea of what we started with, here it is. We went from this to this. Not too shabby, eh? So if you're interested in giving these tools a try and mastering the perspective of your design boards, click the link below. Sign up for a free Design Files account and give those tools a try. I hope they help you out.